Collins sat in her old car and looked at the mountain house in front of her. The building was falling apart. The paint was peeling off the walls, the roof had holes in it, and the windows were dirty. This was the house her grandmother had lived in for the last 40 years. Now it belonged to. Was 32 years old. She worked as a software engineer in the city, but her job was not very good. She did not make much money. She had debts, credit card bills, rent that was too high. When the lawyer called and told her that her grandmother had died and left her this old house, did not feel happy. She felt tired. She did not know her grandmother very well. They had not talked in many years. The lawyer had said the house was worth maybe $50,000. That was not much, but it was enough to help pay some of her debts. She would sell it, get some money, and that would be that. She would not stay long. Maybe 1 week to clean out the old things, and then the real estate agent would sell it. Got out of her car and walked to the house. The air was cold. It was late October, and the leaves on the trees were red and yellow and brown. The forest was very quiet. No other houses were nearby. The nearest town was 20 miles away. Understood why her grandmother had lived alone here. This place was cut off from everything. The front door was locked. Used the key the lawyer had given her. The door opened and made a loud noise. Inside, the house smelled like old wood and dust. Everything was dark because the windows were so dirty. Walked through the rooms. There was old furniture everywhere. A sofa with torn fabric, a table with 3 legs, pictures on the walls of people did not recognize. In the kitchen, she found pots and pans and dishes stacked everywhere. The refrigerator was empty and smelled bad. The house had 3 bedrooms upstairs and 2 bathrooms. One bedroom had a bed with no sheets. Another room had boxes stacked to the ceiling. The third room was empty except for a chair. As walked around, she felt sad. Her grandmother had lived here alone for so long. The house was not very nice. The walls needed paint. The floors needed fixing. Wondered why had chosen to live like this. The family had money, not a lot, but enough. Her grandmother could have lived somewhere better. Went to the kitchen to make some tea. She had brought her own things because she did not want to use anything in this old house. As she walked around looking for a clean cup, she noticed something strange. There was a section of the wall in the pantry that looked different from the rest. The wood did not match. It looked like it had been added later. Pushed on the wall, it did not move. She looked more carefully and found a small handle hidden behind some old cans of beans. She pulled it. The wall moved. It was a hidden door. Behind the door was a basement, but this was not a normal basement. The walls were smooth and clean. There were bright lights running along the ceiling. The air was cool and dry. Someone had built this space carefully, keeping it secret. Walked down the stairs slowly. Her heart was beating fast. At the bottom of the stairs, she stopped and stared. The basement was like something from a science fiction movie. There were machines and equipment everywhere. Metal stands held glass containers with blue liquid inside. Screens hung on the walls showing charts and numbers. In the center of the room was a table, and on that table sat the strangest object had ever seen. It was shaped like a crystal. It was about the size of a human head. It was glowing with a soft blue light from inside. The light moved slowly, like waves in the ocean. Around the crystal were wires and tubes connected to other machines. Walked slowly toward the table. Everything felt like a dream. This could not be real. Her poor grandmother, who lived alone in a falling-apart house, owned alien technology. That was crazy. That was impossible. Next to the crystal were thick notebooks. Picked one up and opened it. Inside was her grandmother's handwriting. It filled every page. The words talked about coordinates in space, about something called the Collective, about a threat that was coming to Earth. The notebook also had drawings of stars and planets, maps of something, warnings written in red ink. Sat down in a chair and kept reading. The notebooks told a story. Her grandmother had made contact with alien beings 50 years ago. They had chosen her to be their representative on Earth. They had given her technology to watch for danger. They had told her that a hostile alien civilization was moving through space, and they might come to Earth. Had lived here alone, watching, waiting. For all these years, she had been the only human who knew about the aliens. She had not told anyone, not even her family. She had kept the secret to herself. Found a sealed envelope at the bottom of the stack of notebooks. It had her name on it in her grandmother's careful handwriting. Opened it and read the letter inside. The letter said that if was reading this, then was dead. The letter explained that had been chosen to protect Earth because she was strong and smart and could be trusted. Said that someday, someone in the family would have to take over the job. She hoped that person would be brave enough to do what needed to be done. The letter also said that the threat was getting closer, had learned that the hostile aliens would arrive in less than 1 year. The Earth needed to be ready. The technology in the basement could help prepare a defense, but only if a human understood how to use it. Only if a human cared enough about their world to fight for it. Stood up, her hands were shaking. This was too much. This was not real, but the machines were real. The notebooks were real, the crystal was real, and the letter was in her grandmother's handwriting. Looked at the crystal. It was still glowing, still pulsing with that soft blue light. She put her hand on it. The crystal was warm, it felt alive. In that moment understood something. Her grandmother had not been poor. She had not been lonely by accident. She had chosen to be alone because she was protecting the world. She had chosen to keep the secret. She had chosen to carry this weight by herself. And now had to make a choice too. She could leave this place. She could close the door and forget what she had seen. She could sell the house and never come back. The crystal and the machines would be sold to someone else, probably for money. Nobody would know what they really were. Or could stay. She could read all the notebooks. She could learn what her grandmother knew. She could take over the job of protecting Earth. She could do what had done. Took a breath. She looked at the glowing crystal one more time. Then she did not sleep that night. She sat in the basement and read her grandmother's notebooks until the sun came up. The notebooks explained everything about the alien contact. Had first met the aliens in 1974 when she was young. They had appeared to her in the forest near the house. They were not scary. They had spoken to her in perfect English. They had explained that they were the Collective, a peaceful group of alien civilizations that protected less advanced worlds. They had told that she was chosen because she was smart and kind and had a good heart. They had given her the crystal device, which was called a beacon. The beacon could communicate across the stars. It could send and receive messages from the ships that orbited far above the Earth, had kept watch for 50 years. The notebooks also talked about the threat. There was another alien civilization called the Tyrant Dominion. They were different from they conquered worlds. They took resources and enslaved people or killed them. The Dominion had been moving through space for hundreds of years, conquering and destroying, and they were heading toward Earth. Had learned that the Dominion would arrive in about 1 year. They could not fight them directly because of old treaties between alien groups, but they could help humans prepare. They could give technology to Earth. They could teach humans how to defend themselves, but humans had to make the choice to fight. They would not fight for them. Read her grandmother's fears in the notebooks. Was afraid that she would die before a human took her place. She was afraid that no one would understand what needed to be done. She was afraid that Earth would not be ready when the Dominion came. At 6 in the morning, heard a sound outside. It was a loud humming sound. Went upstairs and looked out the window. She could not believe what she saw. A spacecraft was landing in the field behind the house. The ship was about 50 feet long. It was shaped like a teardrop. It was made of silver metal that seemed to shine from inside. The ship landed slowly, moving without any sound now. A door opened on the side of the ship and a ramp came down. His first instinct was to call the police, but something made her stop. She ran back to the basement and grabbed her grandmother's letter. She held it as she walked outside to meet whoever was coming out of the ship. A figure appeared in the doorway of the ship. It was an alien. The creature was humanoid, walking on 2 legs with 2 arms, but the skin was bright blue. The eyes were very large and yellow with no white part. The mouth was small. The ears were pointed. The alien wore a white suit made of material had never seen before. The alien walked down the ramp and wanted to run. She wanted to scream, but she stood still. The alien stopped about 10 feet away from her. "My name is," the alien said. The voice was clear and calm. "I was contact with the Collective. You must be her granddaughter. Said that someone would inherit the house. She hoped that person would be brave enough to continue her work." His voice shook when she spoke. "My grandmother is dead. She died 6 days ago." "I know," said. "The beacon sent a signal whence heartbeat stopped. I have traveled from the outpost to come here. The beacon called to me because it knew a new keeper would need help. The countdown has already begun. The Dominion fleet will arrive in less than 6 months now. We must work quickly." Looked at the alien. She looked at the letter in her hand. She thought about her grandmother, living alone in this house for 50 years, keeping a secret that could save the world. "What do you want me to do?" asked. "Come with me," said. "I will show you your grandmother's life. I will teach you what new, and then we will decide together how to save your world." followed into the house and down to the basement. When saw the crystal beacon, the alien made a sound like a sigh. "Was a good woman," said. "She did her job well. She was alone for a long time. She was sad, but she never gave up hope. She believed that humanity was strong. She believed that humans could do great things if they had the chance. I think she was right." Walked to the crystal and touched it. The beacon glowed brighter. On the screens, an image appeared. It showed a fleet of ships moving through space. The ships were huge. They were dark and black and covered with weapons. The image showed their trajectory. The ships were moving toward Earth. "This is the Dominion fleet," explained. "There are 3 large warships. Each one is 30 times larger than my vessel. There are 40 fighter ships. The Dominion is not trying to hide. They have conquered so many worlds that they do not fear any enemy. They believe they are invincible." Felt fear grip her heart. How can we stop them? How can humans fight against ships that big? "That is the question asked for 50 years, said. "And after much study, the collective believes humans might have the answer. Humans are different from other species. When humans face impossible situations, they do not give up. They find new ways to solve problems. They use creativity and courage in ways that other civilizations have never used them. The Dominion has conquered many worlds, but they have never encountered humans. They do not understand what humans can do." Turned to face directly. Believed this too. She spent her life preparing, not just with technology, but with knowledge. She studied how to combine alien weapons with human thinking. She created plans for a hybrid defense system. She left instructions and hopes that someone would be brave enough to try to use them. Paused and then said, "The question now is whether you are that person. Will you take your grandmother's place? Will you help humanity defend itself?" Thought about her life in the city. She thought about her job and her debts and her lonely apartment. She thought about her grandmother, living alone in this falling-apart house, carrying a secret that could change everything. "Yes," said, "I will do what my grandmother did. I will help defend Earth, but I cannot do it alone." "No," agreed. Understood that too. She knew that one person could not defend an entire world. She thought about who could be trusted. She made notes about people she thought could help. Those notes are in her notebooks. We will read them together. And then we will find these people and tell them the truth. Outside the basement window, the sun was rising. The alien ship was still sitting in the field behind the house. And in the sky above, waiting to attack, the Dominion fleet was getting closer every second. Called her father Vincent and asked him to come to the mountain house as soon as possible. She did not tell him why on the phone. She just said it was important. Vincent arrived 2 days later, confused and worried about why his daughter needed him to drive 6 hours to see her. When showed him the basement, Vincent thought had gone crazy. He did not believe her story about aliens and space invasions. He thought she had been alone too long and had let her imagination run wild. He suggested that they should see a doctor. Then came out from where he had been waiting in the shadows of the basement. Vincent saw the blue-skinned alien and his face went white. He sat down in a chair and did not speak for several minutes. "This is real," Vincent finally said. It was not a question, it was a fact he was accepting. "Yes," said, "your mother knew this for 50 years, and now your daughter knows it too, and now you must decide what you will do with this knowledge." Vincent looked at his daughter. "Why did you tell me?" "Because I cannot do this alone," said. "Grandmother wrote in her notes that you were smart and brave and that you could be trusted with the secret. She wrote that you worked with important people in government. She said you could help." Vincent had retired from government work 5 years ago. He had worked in a senior position in national security. He knew people. He knew how the system worked. He also knew that if he went to the government with this story, nobody would believe him. They would think he was crazy, unless he had proof, unless he could show them something real. "I need to think about this," Vincent said. Over the next week, Vincent came back to the house every day. He read his mother's notebooks. He talked with about the alien threat. He saw the maps and the technology. He started to understand what his mother had been doing all these years. He started to feel proud of her, even though he had thought she was strange and cold when he was young. Vincent decided to help. He said he knew 3 people who might be trusted with the secret. The first was a retired general named who now worked as a military consultant. The second was a quantum physicist named who worked at a university not far away. The third was a government official named Franklin, who Vincent had worked with for many years. Vincent and decided to approach first. She was the most important because they would need military knowledge to fight the Dominion. Vincent set up a meeting at his office in the city. was 63 years old. She had commanded thousands of soldiers. She had fought in 3 wars. When Vincent explained the situation, reacted the same way Vincent had at first. She thought it was a joke or a crazy story, but then showed himself, and his expression changed. "That is not human," said. "No," agreed. "I am from the collective. Your species faces a grave threat. Your government does not know about it yet, but it is real. In less than 6 months, a hostile alien fleet will arrive at Earth. Humanity must prepare to defend itself." Was quiet for a long time. Then she asked to see the technology and the plans that had prepared. She spent 6 hours in the basement reading documents. When she came back upstairs, she looked different. She looked like a soldier who understood that war was coming. "This is real," said, "and it is impossible. We cannot defeat that fleet. The technology is too advanced. The numbers are too great." "Probably you cannot defeat them," said, "but humans have done impossible things before, believed that humans could find a way if they tried." She spent her life preparing for this moment. Nodded slowly. "Then I will help. I do not know if we can win, but I know that we have to try. What do you need from me?" Over the next 3 weeks, Vincent brought Franklin into the secret. Was shocked at first, but he was a scientist. Once he saw the alien technology, his fear turned into excitement. He wanted to study the equipment. He wanted to understand how it worked. He started making plans for how to integrate the technology with Earth weapons and systems. Franklin was different. He was scared at first. He did not want to be part of something so dangerous, but Vincent convinced him that this was the most important thing he would ever do. Hiding this secret would be worse than telling it. Humanity deserved to know. Humanity deserved to have a chance to prepare. The 6 of them plus began the work of building a resistance. They started with the mountain house. They expanded the basement. They brought in equipment and computers. They set up a secret command center, designed systems that combined alien technology with Earth technology in new ways. Began training people in secret. She contacted retired soldiers she trusted. She told them to recruit others. They needed hundreds of people. They needed engineers and scientists and military people. They needed pilots and technicians and people who could keep secrets. The information had to stay hidden from the government for now. If word got out too soon, if panic started, if people did not believe the truth, it would cause chaos. Society might break down. The government might try to control the technology instead of using it to defend Earth. But the group worked as fast as they could. Spent 20 hours a day in the command center learning how the beacon worked. She learned to communicate with ship in orbit. She learned to read the charts that showed the Dominion fleet getting closer. Worked on the defense system. He combined alien weapons that used energy and fire with human rockets and missiles. He created computer systems that could control multiple weapons at once. He programmed strategies that used both alien thinking and human thinking. Organized the military force. She set up training bases in 3 different countries. She recruited pilots and soldiers from different nations. She taught them to work together to combine their skills with alien technology. She designed strategies for a space battle and for ground defense. Worked with all of them. She moved between the command center and the training bases. She explained instructions. She helped soldiers understand how to use the new weapons. She became a bridge between the alien knowledge and human action. But 1 month before the Dominion fleet was supposed to arrive, things changed. A government intelligence agency detected unusual activity in the area around the mountain house. They noticed the new equipment and the secret bases. They started asking questions. Knew they could not hide the secret anymore. The government would discover them soon. They would either accept help or they would try to take the technology by force. Either way, the secret was about to come out. Met with Vincent and Franklin to plan their next move. They decided they would tell the truth to the President of the United States. They would give the government proof. They would show the alien ship. They would explain the threat. And they would ask for the government's help in defending Earth. "If the President does not believe us," said, "then we are in serious trouble." "The President will believe," said. She held up her grandmother's letter. "Because we have proof. And because no human would create a story this complicated unless it was true, and because somewhere deep inside, the President will know that this is the most important moment in human history." The next morning made a phone call to a government office. She said she had info the President arrived at the mountain house with 20 security people. They swept the building and the basement, looking for weapons or threats. Stood calmly and waited. She had expected this. She had nothing to hide anymore. The president was a woman named 65 years old. She had been elected because she was smart and direct. She did not like games or lies. She was also not someone who believed in aliens or science fiction stories. But she was here because something unusual was happening, and she wanted to know what it was. Took the president and her chief advisor down to the basement. The moment saw the crystal beacon, her expression changed. She did not say anything at first. She just looked at the technology. "What is this?" asked. "This is a communication device from an alien civilization," said. "My grandmother has been guarding it for 50 years, and now I am guarding it, and I am here to tell you that Earth is about to be invaded by a hostile alien fleet." Stared at for a long moment. Then she asked to see the proof, showed her the notebooks, she showed her the star maps, she showed her the images of the Dominion fleet on the screens, she showed her the date when the fleet would arrive. "How much time do we have?" asked. 30 days, said, "maybe less." Looked at who had come out from another room. "Is this real? Is what she is telling me true?" "Yes," said. "I am a representative of the collective. We have watched over humanity for thousands of years. The danger is real. The Dominion fleet is coming. Your species must prepare to defend itself." Sat down, she asked many questions. She asked if this could be some kind of trick or attack. Explained that it was not. He showed her records from the database. He showed her information about the Dominion that had never been seen by any human before. After 3 hours, stood up. "I need to contact the other world leaders. This is not something one country can handle alone. This is something the whole world must know." "We were worried about that," said. "We were afraid that if the information came out too soon, people would panic. Governments would fight over the technology, maybe use it for war against each other instead of against the Dominion." "Then we must be careful," said. "We must tell them in a way that makes them understand they have no choice but to work together. We must make them understand that this is real and that it is coming." Called together the leaders of the major world powers. She set up a video conference with top secret security. She invited them to a meeting at the Mountain House to see the proof with their own eyes. Over the next week, the President of Russia, the President of China, the Prime Minister of India, the Chancellor of Germany, and the leaders of 40 other nations came to the basement of an old house in Vermont. They saw the technology. They talked too. They saw the maps and the information about the approaching fleet. Some of them did not believe at first, but the proof was too strong. The technology was too advanced, and could answer questions that no human could have known to ask. By the end of the week, all the major nations of the world had agreed to work together to defend Earth. They agreed to share military resources. They agreed to put aside political differences. They agreed to accept the alien technology and learn how to use it. But there were problems. Some countries wanted to keep the technology for themselves. Some wanted to make deals with it to get more advanced weapons. Some wanted to negotiate with the Dominion instead of fighting them. Some people in governments wanted to keep the secret and not tell the regular people about the threat. Became a public face of the defense effort. Against her wishes, her image and story were shared with the world. News channels showed pictures of and the Mountain House. Governments announced that they knew about the alien threat. They announced that the world was preparing to defend itself. At first, people panicked. There were riots in some cities. Some governments fell apart. Some people decided to spend their money before the end came. Others decided to give up hope and accept defeat. But something unexpected happened. As people understood that the world was coming together to fight, they found hope. They found courage. They found unity. People from different countries started talking to each other. They shared their fears and their hopes. They decided that humanity was worth fighting for. Was made a general in a new world military command. She coordinated forces from 60 nations. She set up bases on every continent. She trained soldiers to use the new technology. She created battle plans for a space defense. Became the chief scientist for the technology integration. He worked with engineers from every country. Together, they created weapons systems that combined the best of human thinking and alien technology. They modified planes and rockets. They created new devices that humans had never imagined. Worked with both and she was the bridge between the alien knowledge and human action. She spent hours with learning everything had learned. She absorbed knowledge that would have taken a human scientist years to understand. Told things that his species had discovered about humans, that had studied humanity for thousands of years. They had never directly interfered because of ancient treaties, but they had always believed that humans had great potential. Humans were creative. Humans were adaptable. Humans had the ability to do impossible things when they had to. Your grandmother understood this, told. She knew that she could not defend Earth alone. She knew that humans must unite. She knew that humans must believe in themselves. She spent her life preparing for this moment when you would have to convince your entire species to believe in something extraordinary. 2 weeks before the Dominion fleet was supposed to arrive, visited her grandmother's grave. She brought flowers. She placed her hand on the stone and told that the world now knew her secret. She told that thousands of people were preparing to defend Earth. She told that her 50 years of waiting and hopping were not wasted. As stood at the grave, she felt a strange peace. Her life had changed completely. She was no longer a struggling software engineer with money problems. She was the leader of Earth's defense. She was the person her grandmother had chosen to carry the burden. But understood something important. Her grandmother had not asked her to carry the burden alone, had left notes with the names of people who could be trusted, had believed that humans could unite, had believed that when humans faced a real threat, they would choose to help each other instead of fight each other. And had been right. As walked back to her car, she saw military helicopters flying overhead. She saw convoys of trucks bringing equipment and weapons. She saw soldiers from different countries training together in the fields. She saw the command center humming with activity as people worked day and night. The Dominion fleet appeared on the sensors at midnight. 3 massive warships and 40 fighter vessels dropped out of faster-than-light travel near Earth's orbit. The warships were each 30 miles long. They were dark and weapons covered them. The lead warship broadcast a message in every human language. People of Earth, we are the Tyrant Dominion. Your world has been selected for integration into our empire. You have 1 hour to surrender all governmental authority. You have 1 hour to present your leaders for interrogation and processing. If you refuse, we will destroy your cities and take your survivors as property. 1 hour. Your time is running out. The message was repeated again and again. It was broadcast on every communication channel. Every human on Earth heard it. The message was so confident and so brutal that fear spread like a disease. In the command center at the mountain house, watched the fleet on the screens. She was calm. She had spent the last 2 weeks preparing for this moment. Everyone had done their job. Now it was time to see if humanity could do something extraordinary. Begin the defense, said into her communication system. Was in a military command center in Colorado. She heard order. She opened the channel to all military units around the world. This is General. All units, you are authorized to engage the Dominion fleet. Use all weapons in coordinated attacks according to plan. Good luck for Earth. The first part of the defense was not a military attack. It was science. Had created false signals that made the Earth's defense systems look much larger and more powerful than they actually were. Satellites broadcast fake images of weapons that did not exist. Transmitters sent communications that made the Dominion think the Earth had alien technology Earth did not actually have. The Dominion fleet detected these signals. They sent science teams to analyze the technology. They tried to understand what they were facing. They had conquered hundreds of worlds, but they had never seen an alien defense system like this. It confused them. It made them cautious. But the false signals bought only 4 hours of time. The Dominion commander realized the trick. He sent 2 warships to attack the major cities of Earth. The warships prepared to drop weapons that could destroy entire regions. Then attack began. Pilots from 40 different countries flew into space in advanced fighters that combined human design with alien weapons. These fighters were fast and small. They moved in ways that the Dominion had never seen before. The Dominion ships had weapons made for large targets. They were designed to destroy cities and ships. They were not designed for small, fast targets that moved in unpredictable patterns. The Earth pilots used human creativity. They flew in formations that seemed irrational but were actually brilliant. They attacked from directions that alien computers did not expect. The first Dominion fighter was hit. It exploded in a flash of light, then another, and another. Human pilots were shooting down alien fighters. But the cost was high. For every alien fighter destroyed, 3 human pilots died. The fighters fell burning toward Earth. Young men and women from Korea and Brazil and Germany and Egypt and every other country gave their lives to defend their world. In the command center, watched the casualty reports. She closed her eyes for a moment and carried the weight of each death. These were people who had chosen to fight. They knew they might die. They had done it anyway. The first Dominion warship tried to get close to Earth to launch its weapons. The alien ship was huge. Its weapons could destroy 1,000 fighters, but the Earth defense had one trick that the Dominion did not expect. Human pilots, when they knew they were going to die anyway, could choose to crash their fighters directly into the Dominion warship. It was a suicide tactic. Other alien species would never do this. They would retreat when they knew they would die. But humans were different. Humans could sacrifice themselves for a purpose. A pilot named Samuel from the United States was running out of fuel. His fighter was damaged. He knew he would not make it back to Earth. So instead of ejecting and dying alone, he decided to use his damaged fighter as a weapon. He flew directly at the Dominion warship and fired everything he had. He hit the ship on its left side, directly on a major power system. The warship shook. Fires burned on its hull. Samuel's sacrifice took out a section of the ship's weapons. It could no longer launch its planned attack. The warship had to slow down and focus on damage control. By the time the warship was repaired, the Earth defense had moved to the second part of the plan. Its hybrid system used the alien gravitational weapons combined with human computer hacking. They sent signals that confused the Dominion computers. They created sensor blind spots that the Dominion could not see through. The second Dominion warship was hit by the gravitational weapons. The weapons did not destroy the ship. Instead, they pulled it into the wrong orbit. The warship drifted toward the moon, unable to recover. It was trapped. The third warship saw what was happening to the other two ships. It calculated its chances and decided that conquest was not worth the cost. The Dominion commander made a choice. He ordered a retreat. The alien fleet gathered its remaining ships. The damaged warships limped away from Earth orbit. The fighters that were still alive turned and fled. The Dominion ships went faster and faster, activating their faster-than-light drives. In minutes, they were gone. They were moving away from Earth as fast as their ships could travel. Watch them disappear on the sensors. She could not believe it. They had won. Earth had defeated the Dominion fleet. But there was no celebration in the command center. Thousands of human pilots had died. Thousands of soldiers had given their lives. The battle had lasted only 18 hours, but it had changed everything. Came to and placed his hand on her shoulder. Your species has proven itself. You have done something no other civilization has done. You have defeated an enemy without surrender. You have shown the universe that humans have strength. But so many died, said. Yes, agreed. War is expensive. War costs lives, but the alternative was slavery or death for your entire species. Your people chose to fight instead. That is the definition of courage. A week later, the president came to the mountain house. She brought the leaders of the other major nations. They gathered in the basement where it had all started, was there. Vincent was there, and was there. The president spoke first. What and her team have done has saved humanity. They have united our world. They have shown us that we are stronger when we work together. I have come here with the other world leaders to ask something important. Will you lead the new united governments of Earth? Looked at her father. She looked at and then she looked at. I cannot lead alone, said. My grandmother knew that. She knew that one person cannot carry the responsibility for an entire world. We will lead together. My father and I will form a council. We will represent humanity. Smiled. This is what your grandmother hoped for. She believed that humans could unite. She was correct. The president nodded. Then we have much to do. The Dominion will return someday. Other threats will come, but we are ready. We are united. And we have proven that humanity has something special. As the meeting ended, walked alone to her grandmother's grave. She placed her hand on the stone. You were right, grandmother, she said. We were worthy. We did what you hoped we would do. We united. We fought. We survived. Thank you for believing in us. The wind moved through the trees. The sun was setting, and felt the weight of the past lifting from her shoulders. The countdown had ended. The threat had passed. But now the real work was beginning. Humanity had a place in the galaxy. Humanity had allies in the collective. Humanity had a future. And it had all started because one woman 50 years ago had believed in her species enough to keep the secret, to keep the hope alive, to wait for someone brave enough to take her place. Looked at the sunset and smiled. She finally understood why her grandmother had lived alone in this old house in the mountains. It was not because she was sad or lonely. It was because she was waiting. She was waiting for this moment. She was waiting for humanity to be ready. And now they were. To prepare, the Dominion fleet was getting closer. In 14 days, it would arrive. In 14 days, humanity would know if they could defeat a civilization that had conquered hundreds of worlds. In 14 days, would learn if she was truly worthy of her grandmother's trust. About a national security matter, she said it was urgent. She gave them an address and a time. In 18 hours, the president's representatives would arrive at the mountain house. The secret would be revealed, and humanity would know that it was not alone in the universe, and that it had only a few weeks to prepare to fight for its survival. Had no idea what was about to happen. She did not know if she could save the world, but she knew that she had to try for her grandmother, for the Earth, for the future of humanity. Her choice, she would stay, she would read everything, she would learn everything, she would do what her grandmother had asked. She activated the crystal by touching it again. It started to glow brighter. On the screens on the wall, words appeared. They said, "Welcome, new keeper of Earth's secret. The countdown has begun. Time remaining 178 days."